wanted to ask a question.
No. Dhamma is a very, very tricky thing. I mean, the moment Dhamma comes out of the heart, it just looks for the opportunity into seeping into the hearts of the listeners. But sometimes it just doesn't come out.
I have the same problem with my stomach.
If you would be so kind now to let me get into talking.
Sure.
When Dhamma comes from the heart, it tries to seep into the heart of the listeners. But if the heart of the listeners is not open, it won't come out. It comes out if the heart of the listeners are interested, then it comes out. That is the kind of opening the valve or opening the tap of water of Dhamma. So sometimes people come and I really don't know what to say. I just sit there, I look at them, and in the end, all I talk about is the 5 precepts. Because that is important for all of our human beings. So then what to do? I mean, one can ponder on the things that are usual, like the practice, like the Eightfold Path, like Sila, Samadhi and Panya. What is the Eightfold Path? The practice of the 5 precepts, the practice of Samadhi, and the practice and development of wisdom. That is Panya. We often, before we come here, we often go to different places of meditation centers in the West, or monasteries here in the East, in India, in Thailand, and we learn different things. And our attitude, especially coming from the West, the more we learn, the cleverer we are. Isn't it? The more we know, the better we are. When you listen to the talks of Tenretse Mahabua, then he actually says the opposite. The more we know, the more stupid we are. The more stupid we are in the ways of Dhamma, not in the ways of the world. The cleverer the kilesas get, and the world is the world of the kilesas, the more stupid are they in the ways of Dhamma. So actually what we have to do, when we come to a place like here, that is the Forest University, that is the university where we can learn Magga, Phala and Nibbana. That means Magga is the path, Phala is the fruit, and Nibbana is the end result. It's the extinguishing of dukkha, or the extinguishing of ourselves. Then it's quite different. We have to relearn or redo most of the things we are used to or we trained to before. Although they are very similar to what we heard or what we learned, they are not just the same. And it takes a long time. It takes a few years to get the difference. And I'm talking from my own experience. I came from the West, from England and Germany, where I learned meditation, coming here, and it took me 2 years until I understood the difference. Because the difference is subtle. The words are the same, but the difference, the importance, or the aspects are different. And to understand that, it takes a long time. So samadhi is samadhi. It's just a word. But the way of training samadhi is different here than it is normally taught in other places. The way of samadhi that is taught here is to become one-pointed. That means we only observe one point. When we want to get one-pointed, for instance for samadhi, then we observe the breath at the tip of the nose and nowhere else. To observe the breath at other or different locations of the body is not what is taught by the Lord Buddha. It's not nothing that is leading us to one point. If we observe other points of the body where the breath seems to be more obvious, then there are also more obvious problems. When we, for instance, investigate the rise and the fall of the abdomen, a lot of things, emotional things are stored there. That means sooner or later we get in touch with them. And sooner or later we need to know some techniques or methods how to deal with them. If we don't have them, they are just disturbing our practice. And the emphasis in the beginning of our practice here is just to get the mind one-pointed, just to get the mind to one point where it does not move away, where it does not go into this thought or that thought, into this memory or that memory, or even investigate feeling or things like that, or the body. We just want to get it one-pointed, so the tip of the nose, where the breath comes in, where the breath goes out, and we do not follow the breath. We just stick our point of concentration. And that is the only way how we get really into one-pointedness. At the tip of the nose. And there is the point of concentration. When the point of concentration is there, we are just aware that the breath comes in and that the breath goes out. That's the only thing we do. Our point of concentration will always be there. It will not wander. So everything will suggest, we should move on. But we do not move on. The point of concentration is there. And the awareness, that is different from the point of concentration, will pick up the breath, if the breath comes in, if the breath comes out, if the breath is deep or if the breath is shallow. That is the awareness that picks up. It's actually, there's actually a point to it when we call it awareness, because one-pointedness should lead us to our true nature of the citta, should lead us to the citta itself. That's why we use this method of one-pointedness. And what is the true nature of the citta? As long as we don't know, we can speculate. We can say it's the soul, but it's not the soul. The true nature of the citta is knowingness. Just pure, clear, crisp knowingness. And not knowingness of an object, but knowingness in itself, at a whole. Complete. Knowing anything that we are always wanted to know and that we never are able to know. That is the true nature of our citta. And the method of samadhi brings us there. The method of getting one-pointed. So we should not move away from the point. So if the point is Buddha, then we should not move away from the Buddha. Wherever the Buddha is, it's more difficult to fixate. But we can also, in the beginning, we can also use Buddha and Bud with breathing in and Do with breathing out as a combination. When we do walking, we can use the breath in combination with the bodily movement, or we can use also the breath and the Buddha. I mean, the longer we can stay on one object, the better it is. And the more likely is that we drop into samadhi. Either in Upachara Samadhi, in Access Samadhi, that is the first stage of Samadhi, or Appana Samadhi, that is the deep state of Samadhi. Only in the deep state of Samadhi we will realize the knowingness of our citta, because everything has to disappear. That is the nature of deep Samadhi, Appana Samadhi. We are not aware of anything around us, because the five khandhas have disappeared for that moment. And if the five khandhas have disappeared, consciousness has disappeared. If we are not conscious of anything, how can we know? Not in the sense of the word. But then the true nature of our citta is revealed, the knowingness. It's a very clear and very crisp knowingness. We don't know what we know, but we know. It's very difficult to explain because it's beyond conventional reality. So only when we experience it, then we know what it is. And the moment we come out of this Appana Samadhi, we will know that we have been in a state where we have, most of us, never been. We will completely be recharged, like we put our fingers in the AC outlet. We have lots of energy. It just shows us that the mind constantly uses all the energy to think about this, to think about that, to memorize this or to memorize that, to feel sad about this or feel sad about that, or to worry about this and worry about that, or to fear this or to fear that. All the time we do that. The moment the mind gets one-pointed, all the energy stays with us. And the moment we come out of this one-pointedness, of course, then we will have it. It is part of us. It won't take long until it dissipated again into thoughts and memories, but the moment we come out, we still have it. The longer, of course, we have been in this state, the more energy we have, and the longer it takes to dissipate. It's just like filling up a tank of water. If you fill it up just shortly, we have it just little. If you fill it up for a long time, we have full water. So that is the way of samadhi. Stick your attention, and that is, it sounds, the description of the task is so easy. It's the easiest thing, and yet it's so difficult for us. Because our mind just does not want to stick to one thing. It tries to go on. And it finds all sorts of reasons. And we have enough reasons. I break my leg, or I break my back, or my back hurts, or this kind of sitting is not good for me, or this, this is in pain, or that is in pain. And that's where we get up. If we would reflect, if we would use our memory at that time and think about, when we sit in the airplane for 11 hours, nothing breaks. At the moment we just sit here for 2 hours in meditation posture, everything breaks away. We feel, this is not healthy. There are just reasons that are coming from all over the place. And this kind of reasoning is used by the kilesa. They use us to pull us away from meditation. And if that kind of reasoning doesn't come in for other people, it's the reasoning of doubt. That method doesn't lead to anything. How do we know? We haven't even tried it. We have tried it only for half an hour. How do we know that it doesn't lead to anything? We have to follow the signs. The teachings of the Lord Buddha, is not are words that we can read, but words have no meaning. Have the meaning of each word is within us. It's not, it's not within within somewhere written in stone somewhere as one meaning. No, the meaning is within us. Whatever we think, whatever we associate with this word, that's what it means for us. So, the teaching of the Lord Buddha is actually not the meaning of the word, but is the sign where it points to. I mean, you can follow the signs, yeah, that, for instance, coming from Europe, the signs, to Rome. I mean, if you follow the signs to Rome, you will end up in Rome. But if you think that the sign that says Rome on it is Rome already, then you're stuck. You don't know where to go. Or if you think that scribble on a piece of paper that with an arrow that points to Rome is not the right thing. As long as it leads us to Rome, then it's the right thing. It doesn't have to be in gold letters, or it doesn't have to be engraved in stone. It just needs to point out the way where to go. And the point out where to go in samadhi is putting our attention on the breath. The moment we see that our mind is going astray, we just kindly put it back onto the object. And then kindly again put it back on the object. And then kindly again put it on the object. I mean, if it doesn't follow, then we, hit it a little bit, so that it stays for a while. And then we patiently put it again. Patiently put it in. And that is where our determination and that is where our effort lies. In the putting it back, not the pushing it down. Putting it back. And you notice immediately how difficult it is, especially if an enticing thought is coming up, or in a memory that we haven't thought of for a long time. We want to stay with this memory, won't we? It's so great, We haven't thought about it for a long, long time, and now suddenly it comes up and we want to stay with it. And we wonder how we can get it back again, because it's so nice. And instead in our practice, the moment we see that there is a thought coming in, we put our attention back. If it's a Buddha, then back to the Buddha. Or if it's a breath, back to the breath. And not even interested in where it went, but just interested in putting it back. That will lead us. If we just do that for one day, it will lead us to Appana Samadhi. But we can't. Because the mind is so trained to go everywhere, it thinks. This is the training. And this is the training that cannot be done, that cannot be learned by words. Or it cannot be learned by books, but it only can be learned through experience, through doing it. So the way of the Lord Buddha is the way of doing things. Following the guidelines of the Lord Buddha, if you do this, then this will lead to calm. Yes. So we do it, and it will lead to calm. If we do that, it will lead to wisdom. And we do it, and it will lead to wisdom. If we cut the first 3 fetters, it will lead to Sotapanna, or stream entrance, and it will lead to it. But only if we follow the path. Only if we follow the way. And the difficulties lies just in sticking our attention, sticking our awareness on this one point, and not letting it go. So we have to put in all our effort and all our determination not to go away into bringing the mind back, bringing it back, and bringing it back, and bringing it back, and bringing it back. That is the only way to samadhi. And once the mind does not think anymore, it will become calm by itself. Once the mind gets concentrated enough, and that normally takes more 50%, that it becomes stable, concentrated. 50% of the awareness should be on our Buddha. Then, for the first time, we realize how unconcentrated we are. All the time we think how mindful we are. how much awareness we have, but we don't. The moment we see that actually 50% of the time we are not with the object, then we see how unaware we are, or how unmindful we are. So that is the first stage. Then if we go on, keeping on our object, we will reach the stage of Upachara Samadhi, or what is called Access Samadhi. When we are in Access Samadhi, it is a safe haven. For the first time, if people experience for the first time, it's a safe haven. That's where we can rest. We all know, when we are in the oceans, the tides are very high. The waves are high. From the high wave, we go down to the low wave. From a high emotion, we go down to a low emotion. The moment we are in a haven, there is no tides. It's just equanimity. So that is also what is happening in Upachara Samadhi. We are in a safe haven. The things are still there. The world is still around us. But it doesn't bother us. Because there are no thoughts. And if we realize it, if we experience it a few times, then we realize that all our sadness, all our worries, all our fears just comes or originates from thoughts. So to cut down thoughts, or not to have any thoughts, we'll cut down on our fears, or we'll eliminate fears and worries. We just experience it. In that state, it's a state, that people in the normal world cannot experience, or are not able to experience, because they concentrate long enough. There are no worries, there are no fears. It's just plain experience. And why is it called Access Samadhi? Because it gives us access to all the other planes of existence. It's just like, in other words, it's a train station with different platforms that can lead us, if we know how to board a train, that can lead us to this kind of realm. The hell realms, the ghost realms, the demon realms, or whatever. Or the heavenly realms. But it takes us, for people who are not experiencing this, it takes quite a while, to learn to read the signs and to learn to board a train. So if it doesn't come from our previous lives, that we have been into different realms, it will be difficult. We will normally not go there. Because we just, stay there and cannot read the signs. Unless there is somebody who teaches us how to read the signs and how to go here. That's why it's called Access Samadhi, because it has still the access to all the other different realms of existence. The moment when we go on and cut through all these experiences that come, all the phenomena that arises, we see them arising and ceasing, but we still keep our concentration on the breath or on the Buddha. Then we realize, the more we become concentrated, when we are observing the breath, then suddenly the breath will stop. We become subtler and more subtle and more subtle and more subtle until it stops. And that is the time that's the only time to switch. To switch to the knowingness of the chitta. If it's a bit tricky, but if you know how to switch to the knowingness of the chitta, you enter one point of view. It's the same thing with the Buddha. The Buddha becomes so difficult to say, so difficult to think, because our mind is so concentrated we can't think it anymore. And then the same thing. That thought, we can't think the Buddha anymore, leads us to the knowingness of the chitta. It's actually not a thought, but it's the knowingness. It's the same thing with the breath. When the breath stops, it's not a thought we can't breathe anymore. It's a knowingness that tells us the breath has stopped. So we switch actually to the knowingness. That's the only time when we jump. The first time we don't even have to jump. It's just, it's just pulling us in. Just like the concentration pulls us in. So if we go with the stream, we are pulled in automatically. If we don't go with the stream, we have to fight. Because people think the moment the breath stops, they die. And the moment they think then they die, that's when they get out of samadhi. And they have to do the work again. The moment they think about, they really think the thoughts about it, why can't I repeat the Buddha anymore? That's where they get out of samadhi and they have to do it again. Until they come to this point, until they learn how to go to the citta. Actually what is happening, when we are aware, and we should be aware, the more we concentrate, the more we should be aware of what is going on. We should feel that our point of concentration when we observe the breath is actually slowly going down to the citta already. That our awareness is going there. But the point of concentration is still there. So we will know it. So actually we don't have to do a lot. The moment it comes, the breath stops, we just stay there. But for most of the people it is new, it is fresh, they are afraid. They are afraid to lose themselves. And of course, Appana Samadhi is the loss of everything. The loss of the 5 khandhas. Of consciousness, of thought, of memory, of feeling, and of the body. For that time being. If we go to sleep, we don't care about if we lose. And we lose it in deep state of sleep, we lose the same thing. We are not even aware, what is going on around us. We are not aware of the body, we are not aware of thoughts, we are not aware of memories. So only in the deep state of sleep, it is very similar. It's not the same, because we don't have that crisp, clear awareness of knowing it. So that's the difference between deep sleep and the state of deep samadhi. So that is probably one of the hindrances that keeps us from falling into deep state of samadhi, the fear of death. You have to find some trick, to get over it. When I'm falling asleep, I'm not afraid of going, to not wake up again. Or are you? If you're afraid of not waking up, you wouldn't go to sleep. So, and all what it takes, it's as simple as that. We just put our attention on one part. It's the simplest task in the world. We are so able to do so many things, so complicated tasks in this world. But yet, this very, very simple task, we are not even able, to manage it. And a lot of things come in. Sleepiness can come in. A lot of hindrance on the path. When we sit, the moment we sit, we are really enthusiastic, to sit now for the next 2 hours in a meditation position. And after 5 minutes we give up. Either pain comes in, or doubt comes in, or now I'm thirsty, or now now I need to go to the toilet, or this doesn't work, or this is too difficult, or now it's too hot, or now it's too cold, or this or that. And where has all the determination gone? The determination to sit in samadhi for 2 hours is the determination of Dhamma. And then the moment the kilesas hear it, then they of course think of counter methods, not to bring us out. So it is a fight. Tanaja Mahabodha calls it a boxing fight. You go as an untrained boxer in the ring, but in the ring there is not an untrained boxer, there is a champion. So you have to learn, You go into the ring, you fall out, and you go back into the ring, you fall out, you go back into the ring, you fall out, you go back into the ring, until you have enough awareness, or if you have enough mindfulness to catch the movements of your opponent. How he tricks you, how he hits you. And the next time, once you're trained enough, then you will see, or you will know how he hits you, and then you just duck. And then you don't get blown out so fast. And then you duck again, and you duck again, until you find a weak spot. And then you hit him, and then he's knocked out. Apana Samadhi is a way, to knock him out for a while. Upachara Samadhi is also a way to knock him out for a while. That's the first hit that we learned. And then he leaves us, if he's not in the ring, if he's knocked out, if he's KO, he gives us peace. And that is what is happening. Upachara Samadhi and Apana Samadhi, he gives us peace. He leaves us in peace. And that's why it's always that pleasant. That's why these states of Samadhi, either Upachara or Apana Samadhi, are so pleasant. Bring so much happiness, or bring so much peacefulness, or so much joy into our heart. Because our opponent, the champion, the kilesas or avijja, however you call it, is not there. There's no power over us. He's knocked out for that time being. And that's why we like, in the moment we come out, we like to get back in. Isn't it? Well, that's okay. As long as we know, it's okay. Once we have trained ourselves, to do samadhi, once we trained ourselves to be able to stick to an object, and be it now the Buddha, or be it the breath, for at least 10 minutes without the mind going anywhere, then we can start investigation. Before that, it's pretty useless. We have thought all our lives, about this and about that. If we would be actually aware of our thinking, then we would notice that the thought is only hitting one subject for 3 thoughts. And then it slightly moves. And then it slightly moves. And after 10 thoughts, it's off the subject already. That's why it's not useful to do investigation with this kind of mind. First we have to train the mind to get calm, before we actually can put it to work. It's just like, you tell somebody to dig a hole, but this person is just a monkey. Wherever he stays, he digs. Yeah, he's quite patient, he's quite determined to dig, But that then after three shovels, he jumps to another place. And then he jumps to another place. Do you get a hole? No. And that is the way of our mind. We don't notice it. But next time you think about a subject, or you investigate a subject, just be 100% aware that after 3 thoughts, the thoughts slightly shift. The subject shifts. And then it shifts again, and it shifts again. And after 10 minutes, you have made 1 circle around the world. It comes back. And the next time you do the same thing again, and then again. That's why it's not useful to use this kind of mind to do investigation. We can start our investigation once the mind is really focused. When you study, once the mind is really focused on a subject, it can pretty fast understand and comprehend the subject. But if I read a textbook, and my mind is off what I'm doing this evening or what I'm going to cook, we can read it 10 times and we still don't understand. If we just would be completely concentrated on our subject, we would pretty much understand it within no time. That is the power of concentration. And so, will it be with the investigation? And what do we investigate? We have only 5 things to investigate. And these are the 5 things that make us. What we call us or I. And what are the 5 things? They are called the 5 khandhas, or the 5 groups that we are made of. And these 5 groups is the group of the body, is the group of feeling, is the group of memory and associations, or you can call it labels, and the group of thoughts and the group of consciousness. So the first thing that we hit with our investigation is the body, because it determines our life. So we want to understand what is the body. I mean, when we look at our lives, when we are back in the world, what we are doing? We are taking the body to sleep, we are taking the body to take a pee, we are taking the body to take a walk, we are taking the body to work, to get some money, to eat, and to sleep, and to get a house, to get an apartment. We only worry, 99% of our time we worry about this body. To house it, to sleep it, to clothe it, and to feed it. And that's why we investigate the body. Because it's the primary attention of our life. We only think about our body. I mean, the few times we think about our chitta, about our heart, it's not very often. Except when we are, of course, when we are in our scientific mind. Then we can lose track of our body. And then first of all we have to step down to find our body before we can actually investigate. Isn't it? I mean, some of the people, we have this term, or we have this expression, we are spaced out. Some of us are really completely spaced out in science. I mean, men at work in the 70s had a nice song, it was called Blinded by Science, Spaced Out by Science, and now it's another. What does it mean? It's spaced out by knowledge. I mean, we just, process and reprocess and process all the time the knowledge, try to gain some new knowledge. From old garbage, get some new paper. So, these kind of people who are spaced out in their minds, first have to find, the foundations of the body. Doing a lot of walking meditation will lead them to the body, doing, feeling the movement of the body while they do all these kind of works. And there are not a lot of tasks that we have to do during the day. We have to go to eat. We have to eat and we have to digest. We have to go to the restroom to relieve ourselves. We have to wash ourselves and we have to keep our place clean. These are all different movements. They are all different tasks. They have all different meanings for us. Isn't it? Eating will become a very important meaning after a few weeks staying here. Because it seems to be the only enjoyment where we can dig in. Maybe drinks, and then in the afternoon become also important. Taste it. If we investigate, if we start to investigate the body, then we start investigating it like this. Yeah? Just look at our life. Yeah? How long did it take us to train this body? Until we could use it. The first thing, we had to learn to breathe. Then we had to learn to digest. Then we had to learn to walk. Then we had to learn to speak. It was already 6 years. And then we had to train it to think. It took another 10 years until we call ourselves full-fledged human beings. I mean, this body is a very complicated, it's a biological robot, and it takes a lot of programming time to program it in the right manner. Until we can enjoy it. Until it can run and it can walk and it can swim and it can do whatever it wants to do. Isn't it? 16 years, at least 16 years of training. If we train it, if we overemphasize the training of the mind, it takes us 25 years. Until we become a graduate or master or doctor or something like that. Until we can enjoy the fruits. Other people, just go to finish high school and then they start working. That's enough for them. 16 years. And was it a lot of joy? Going into school every day, was it joy? Learning to walk, and bump into this and bump into that, was it a lot of joy? Just reflecting about it. Learning to talk, was it a lot of joy? The people couldn't understand our utterances. I mean, we wanted this, we thought we said it, but nobody understands it. Everybody, looks at us, what does he want? What does he want? It was much easier when we were a baby and couldn't talk, people picked up much easier what we wanted. The moment we started to talk, nobody seems to understand. So it was pretty difficult, pretty rough time, for us to go through. And then especially the change of our sex, or the outcoming puberty. That's a rough time. Only after that process, that process has finished, we can call ourselves full-fledged beings. And how much dukkha was in that? That's the first kind of things that we reflect upon. Then we reflect upon the outside of the body, about the hair of the body. What kind of importance has the hair? Hair of the head or hair of the body? And the skin. I mean, if you take away the skin, what is left? Blood pools? Flesh? Where are all your marks, what you call yourself when you look in the mirror and take off the skin? I mean, no matter if he looks in the mirror, he sees the same things. So the skin is the big deceiver. The skin and the hair. I mean, just think about how much people do about their hair, or also the beard, It's very important for Chinese, the beard is very, very important, but also I think for India. And the clothes. I mean, we put this body, we put the skin, hide it away under cloth. I mean, if you just have 2 shirts, and 2 trousers, I mean, that would be enough, The moment one is dirty, we can wash it, and put on the other one. But now look at our closet. I mean, how many clothes do we have in this closet? How many shoes do we have? How many hats or, whatever. Just look at your apartment. How many things do you have, just to comfort this body? To be able to drink and to be able to eat and to be able to clothe it and to put it to sleep. And now look, just for a comparison, look at the monastery, all what you have. It's very little. And I think, within the last 15 years that I'm here, I didn't need anything else. Because that's enough to survive. It's enough for this to take care of this body. And it doesn't become unhealthy. Or do I look unhealthy? So one meal a day is enough for this body. One cloth is enough for this body. And taking one shower a day is enough. Not even, sometimes not even taking a shower for a few days. That's enough, still enough. And now think about what we do, what kind of customs we have, and from whatever country we are coming from, to take care of the body. And that's why I said, 99% of our time we take care of our body. And in the end, this body will die away, if we like it or not. It will just vanish under our own hands. And then we realize that we wasted most of our energy, we wasted in something that is completely useless. If we just would put the important amount in our keeping our body healthy, it takes 2 hours a day. The rest of it, we can take off the thing, the chitta, that drives this body, that commands this body around. The car the car doesn't go by itself, or the robot doesn't walk by itself. I mean, it needs a program to walk, to do this and to do that. And who's the programmer? The chitta is the programmer of this biological robot. That's why the chitta, when the chitta is completely calm, in Upachara Samadhi, or even more so, in Apa Samadhi, it won't move. Not at all. It just stays there. Just the way it is. It won't move by itself. And then, when we come out and reflect upon it, we will see that each kind of movement is called up or called upon by the chitta. Once the chitta is calm, once the chitta is centered, once the chitta is one-pointed, there is no movement. I mean, we don't even feel pain. We just experience everything, and we don't need to move. Isn't it amazing? We always thought that the body is the sin when we come from Christianity. It has nothing to do. The chitta is the sin. The chitta the body won't do anything if the chitta does not command it. And if you get very close, if you get very deep into samadhi, and if you get very deep into practice, you will see how the chitta commands his body. You will see it, you will experience it for yourself. That the chitta that is so close to the physical heart. That's the reason why it's so close to the physical heart. Because through the physical heart it makes it command. It's the translator of the command. So if you want to see, for the moment being, if you want to see if your chitta is calm, then just look at the activities of the heart. If the heart is calm, if the physical heart is calm, then the chitta is mostly calm. There's not much going on. I mean, that's when we sleep, there's not much going on. The breath drops very low, and the activity of the heart drops very low, because there's nothing much going on. The moment the chitta wakes up, what can we do? What is there to do? Oh, it's the same boring stuff. Today is the same boring stuff. Tomorrow is the same boring stuff. I mean, today is the same exciting stuff. Yeah? It's just a word. Boring, exciting. What does it mean? Just breathing in and just breathing out. Just putting our attention to the point of breath. Or putting our attention to the Buddha. I mean, if you think a lot, this might be really helpful. Just mental reflection of Buddha, 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 Buddha. Once the mind gets calm, the Buddha becomes slow. Automatically. If you combine it with the breath, if you really get mindful, if you really get aware, one or the other will fall away. I mean, either the Buddha that we trained last will fall away first, and then only the breath will move. I mean, that's happened to me because I was doing meditation with the breath, anapanasati, observing the breath at the tip of the nose. And only when I came here, I learned the Buddha. So when I do the combination, the first thing that falls, when I get concentrated, the first thing that falls away is the Buddha. And all what remains is the Buddha. And then the breath disappears, and then there is one point. I mean, it's up to you to experience it. I mean, you can hear about it, and feel great about it, or feel excited about it, but you don't experience it. This kind of excitement is not what you're going to get experienced when you are in samadhi. It's a peaceful, even if it's happiness, or even if it's joy, it's a very peaceful happiness and joy. It's still close to the joy and the happiness that we have in the world, but it certainly lasts much, much longer. And it's much more pure. And all what we have to do, we don't even have to spend a penny on that. All what we have to do is put our attention on one point. That's it. I mean, all the happiness that is stored in the heart, will come up there. I mean, the peacefulness that is the quality of the chitta. It's there. The moment the moment we open the door, to whatever is there, it will come out. But we close our heart door. That's why we never see it, what's in there. I mean, We can call ourselves stupid because, we always look outside, we never look inside. It's like we never see the closet, that we call the chitta. We always look outside from the closet out, outside. What is there? What is there? What is there? What does that mean? What does that mean? Instead of looking inside. The way of practice is starting to looking inside, centering one's attention on the point where everything occurs. And the point where everything occurs is the chitta. It's a primary mover. It's there, if the chitta doesn't move, nothing else moves. Experience it for yourself. You're here to experience it for yourself. And the more patience and endurance you have, the more determination you have to put the mind back to the point of attention, the faster you will get there. There's no secret, there's no shortcut. The shortcut is, the more determination we have to put our attention back to the point, the faster we get there. It's just the same thing. If we want to walk here to Bangkok, if we do our steps in the right direction, the more steps we do in the right direction, the faster we walk. But if you think at each step or at each 10th step, how long will it take us to get there, and maybe it's better to rest, it will take us an endless time, or maybe we will never reach it. So, cut down the attachment to your thoughts and memories, and bring it back to the point of attention, and then you will get there. You have to get there. There's no other way. The moment the chitta concentrates on one point, it has to become one point. There's no other way. It cannot be otherwise. So, and with this I close the talk.